Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. I hope y'all are doing great. Today, we want to talk to you about a topic that emerged last century and continues to shape our society to this day. We all know that changes happen all the time, right? So, I want to start talking about that. Throughout history, the world has witnessed a series of significant political, economic, and social transformations that have fundamentally reshaped the ways in which nations interact and collaborate on the global stage. These changes, driven by technological advancements and evolving political ideologies, for example, have created a landscape where traditional power structures are challenged, and new alliances emerge to surpass shared challenges. An example I really want to focus on is the end of the Cold War, which was key in changing global geopolitics because it involved two nations that were political and economical powers at the moment. So, the collapse of the Soviet Union and the posterior dominance of the United States in the late 20th century created a shift in the balance of power. That's how the New World Order arises, a term often used to describe the emerging global system characterized by greater interdependence among nations, international cooperation, and more competition. Economically, globalization has played a transformative role, with the integration of markets and the rise of multinational corporations creating an international connection. However, this connection has also exposed vulnerabilities, such as economic inequalities and reliance on fragile supply chains. Politically, the growing influence of powers like the United States and the evolving roles of international organizations like the United Nations and the World Trade Organization has reshaped the way the world is ruled. Together, these political and economical changes explain the complexity and adaptability of the international system, culminating in what is often referred to as the New World Order, a constantly evolving concept where nations must navigate cooperation and competition in a rapidly changing world. Now, we'll explore how this concept emerged after World War II, with the division of the world into capitalist and socialist groups of nations during the Cold War, and how it evolved into an interconnected world thanks to globalization.
To start with the explanation, we have to first leave the historical context clear, and also how the New World Order started. At the ending of the World War II, the world found itself divided into two major economic and political blocs. These two blocs were led by two main parties. United States led the capitalism, and the socialism was mainly led by the Soviet Union. Both of these blocs aimed to expand their influence globally, not just militarily but also economically, competing for markets to supply raw materials and serve as destinations for manufactured goods. Okay, now I am going to define the concepts of capitalism and socialism. Capitalism is an economic system where people and businesses own and control property, factories, and resources, rather than the government. In capitalism, goods and services are made and sold to earn profits, and prices are determined by supply and demand in a free market. It encourages competition, innovation, and individual choice. And socialism is an economic system where the government or community collectively owns and controls resources, industries, and production. Instead of focusing on individual profit, socialism aims to ensure that wealth and goods are distributed more equally so everyone's basic needs like healthcare, education, and housing are met. It emphasizes cooperation over competition. These two types of economic and political beliefs fought against each other during the Cold War. This rivalry forced countries to align with one of the blocs, shaping the geopolitics of the time.
As the 20th century advanced, the global landscape began to experience a profound evolution. Marked by shifts in power dynamics, economic systems, and cultural exchange, the rise of emerging markets coupled with technological advancements gradually eroded the rigid divisions that had previously defined international relations. nations began seeking new ways to collaborate, driven by the growing recognition that challenges such as economic instability, environmental degradation, and technological innovation transcended national borders. This transformation was not merely economic or political, it was also ideological. Traditional models of governance and trade gave way to more fluid systems that emphasize connectivity and mutual dependence. The expansion of multinational corporations and establishment of international organizations played a crucial role in fostering this interconnectedness, creating pathways for a new era of global integration. At the same time, cultural exchange flourished as barriers to communication diminished. Art, music, literature, and ideas traveled more freely, allowing societies to influence and be influenced by one another in unprecedented ways. This period marked a gradual but unmistakable shift toward a more unified global framework, laying the groundwork for what we now recognize as globalization.
Now we are going to talk about the globalization and its impact on the New World Order. To do this, we have to first identify what globalization is. Globalization is the process of increasing interconnectedness and integration among countries around the world. It involves the exchange of goods, services, ideas, technology, culture, and information across borders. It can lead to economic growth, cultural exchange, and innovation, but it can also cause challenges like inequality and cultural homogenization. The spread of globalization has led to a clash between capitalist and socialist values, especially in debates over trade policies, labor rights, and environmental issues. For example, globalization aligns closely with capitalist principles as it promotes free trade, open markets, and competition on a global scale. But socialism is mainly against the globalization because it shares the values of capitalism and leads to a global inequality where a gap is created between rich and poor countries. The New World Order has led to an economic globalization where there has been a significant rise in the exchange of goods and services across the countries, breaking down trade barriers through agreements and organizations like the World Trade Organization. This phenomenon has redefined international relations, shifting from a world of opposing blocs to one of interdependence.
Foreign investment has become one of the defining features of the modern global economy. Beyond the movement of goods and services, the cross-border flow of financial resources has dramatically reshaped how nations and business interact. Large corporations seeking growth and diversification have increasingly turned to international markets to establish subsidiaries, form strategic partnerships, and engage in collaborative ventures. These activities not only generate deployment opportunities but also stimulate innovation by transferring skills, technologies, and expertise across borders. Moreover, investment is no longer a one-way street from developed to developing nations. Emerging economies have become key players in the global financial ecosystem, actively acquiring assets, infrastructure, and business in other regions. The reciprocal flow highlights the complexity and depth of the interconnected global marketplace. At the same time, financial institutions have evolved to cater to this integrated world. Banks, investment funds, and multinational lenders operate on a global scale, facilitating capital movement that fuels development and growth. This network underpins a globalized financial system where decisions made in one country can ripple across continents, underscoring the intricate ties that bind today's economies. Such dynamics reinforce a profound shift. The lines between domestic and international markets are increasingly blurred. The resulting interdependence fosters opportunities but also poses challenges, requiring nations to navigate shared risks, such as financial crisis, regulatory disparities, and the impact of geopolitical tensions.
In conclusion, we can tell that the world is shaped by the decisions, actions, and culture of the major powers, such as the United States, some Europe nations, Russia, Japan, and China. Now, talking about globalization, it has brought benefits like access to new markets, increased investments, and cultural exchange. All of this is part of today's world order. However, it also presents challenges, such as economic inequality between developed and developing countries, and the need for policies to regulate these global dynamics. Beyond economics, globalization has political and cultural implications, challenging national identities and influencing political decisions. So, the New World Order is not only a reflection of political changes, but also of a world that is increasingly globalized and interconnected. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the New World Order and its relation to globalization. Bye.